Let's talk about some of my most anticipated January new releases. I upload these new releases videos every single month. I try to do them before the first release date happens because I figure that's the best chance for you guys to know what's coming out. So going forwards in 2024, I'm going to try my best to get these videos out on time. It might not always happen depending on my schedule, but I will try my best. January is always a really busy month for new releases because the publishers go wild. They're after your Christmas money, and so they release so many books. It's always a really good month for debut authors, but there's also a lot of fantasy sequels coming out as well. I'm going to have to power through these books quite quickly because, like I said, there are a lot of them. I will try to give a decent synopsis for each of them, but obviously if you want to know more about them, then go to Goodreads or Storygraph and you'll be able to find the full synopsis there. So first of all, starting off, we have A Fragile Enchantment. This one is YA historical fantasy. It's Regency England inspired, and I think it is set in a fantasy world. It's about a young woman who is commissioned to be the dressmaker for a royal wedding, and I think magical things ensue. It says here that a gossip columnist draws attention to the main character's undeniable chemistry with the groom. I think that sounds very dramatic, so I'm looking forward to this. First Lie Wins. This one is an adult thriller book. I don't really read the synopsis for thrillers, so I can't really tell you what this one is about because I like to go into them knowing nothing in case something spoils it for me. The tagline does say that Evie Porter has everything a nice southern girl could want: a perfect doting boyfriend, a house with a white picket fence and a garden, a fancy group of friends. The only catch, Evie Porter doesn't exist. Don't know what that means, but it's intriguing. Glorious Exploits. I do have this one from NetGalley, but I haven't read it yet. This one is a historical book set in Sicily. It's set during a certain war, the Peloponnesian War. Don't know what that is, but it's also told in contemporary Irish dialect, so that's very intriguing to me. I don't always get on with books that are told in a dialect, but I'm willing to give it a go. Come and Get It by Kiley Reid. This is the author of Such a Fun Age, which I really enjoyed. This is another adult fiction literary book from her. It says here that it's a provocative story about a residential assistant and her messy entanglement with a professor and 3 unruly students. So it's set at the University of Arkansas, and it says that it's a tension-filled story about money, indiscretion and bad behaviour. I'm really looking forward to this one because I've really enjoyed Such a Fun Age, so I think this is going to be really good as well. Holiday Country, which is a debut novel. This one is set in Turkey, and I've never read a book set in Turkey before as far as I can remember, so this will be a really good one for my countries map that I do every year. It says here that it's following a young woman's dangerous summer romance during an idyllic vacation in the Aegean coast. So I think this is literary romance, maybe? It doesn't say anything about a thriller, even though that it says it's dangerous, so yeah, I'm intrigued. The Heiress by Rachel Hawkins. This is another mystery book by her. It says here that when Ruby, super long last name, Ruby Kenmore dies, she is not only North Carolina's richest woman, she is also its most notorious. The victim of a famous kidnapping as a child and a widow 4 times over, Ruby ruled the tiny town of Tavistock. In the aftermath of her death, that estate passed on to her adopted son, Camden. And then I think it turns into a bit of a family drama of how they're going to distribute the money, maybe. I don't know. I'm looking forward to trying this one because I really enjoy Rachel Hawkins's books. Some of them only get 3 stars from me, but others get 5s. So this could go in either direction. The Glass Woman. This is another one that I have from NetGalley. This is a psychological suspense mystery thriller. It says here that it's Black Mirror meets Before I Go to Sleep by way of Severance, which are 3 things that I'm very interested in. It says here that it's about someone who wakes up without memories and they're not sure who to trust. Very intrigued by this one. The Djinn Waits 100 Years. This is about a father and daughter who go and buy a ruined mansion by the sea, and they find that a djinn is haunting it, and so they have to try to figure out what's been happening in this mansion over the last 100 years. I think I have this one from NetGalley as well. If I don't, then I've definitely wished for it, and I don't know if I've been granted for it yet. I really want to read this. The Atlas Complex is also coming out in January. This is the final book, I think, in the Atlas 6 trilogy, unless it turns into a series. I don't think it will, I'm not sure. I haven't read the second book yet, but I did enjoy the first one, and I'd be very interested in carrying on so far. I've been thinking about maybe recapping this series on my channel, so let me know if you would be interested in that. The first book isn't super complicated, and obviously I haven't read the second one yet, but if it does get more complicated, then maybe it's a good one to do a video review for, especially because there's a bunch of characters, so let me know if that's something you would be interested in. Sky's End. This one is a YA fantasy debut. It says that it's Attack on Titan meets The Hunger Games, perfect for fans of Pierce Brown, Scott Westerfeld, and Veronica Roth. It's about a scrappy underdog hell-bent on revenge who must claw his way to the top of this thrilling YA fantasy debut. I don't know how they're clawing their way to the top of the debut, but I'm interested to read it. Rabbit Hole. This one is another debut book. I love supporting debut authors, and like I said, January is really good for debuts. This one says that it's exploring the dark side of the true crime fandom and the blurry lines of female friendship, perfect for fans of Gillian Flynn, which I am, My Favourite Murder, which I'm not, and Fleabag, which I'm again not. Conspiracy theories from Reddit seduce a disaster-prone woman into an obsession with solving her older sister's cold case disappearance. This one sounds so good. Really like true crime-based fiction. Where You End. This one is another debut fiction book. This author, I believe, has written non-fiction books before. This is about a young woman called Kat who wakes up from a coma and she is greeted by her sister who is identical to her. Kat is busy trying to relearn her identity and is hoping that her twin can provide the answers. And then she starts to think that maybe this twin is lying to her. Where the Dead Wait. So this one is already out in the US, but it's coming out in the UK in 2024. This one is said to be The Terror Meets Yellow Jackets. It's about a disgraced Arctic explorer who is setting out on a voyage to track down his former crewmates and is then confronted by the ghosts of his cannibalistic past. This sounds so good. I do have this one from NetGalley as well, so I'm hoping to read this very early on in January. Voyage of the Damned, which I mentioned in my most anticipated 2024 video. This is a fantasy mystery kind of thing set on a ship. This is about a bunch of heirs to the provinces of the Concordia. All of them have been graced with something called a blessing, except one person who is possibly the main character, I think. And then one of the heirs is murdered and it turns into a bit of a murder mystery. I think I've requested this one from NetGalley, but I don't think I've got it yet. If not, this might be one of my first purchases of the year. It sounds really good. 27 Minutes. This is another debut thriller book. This is about a town which is grieving the loss of a young girl, and some people are fighting to keep the truth about her death a secret. To Cage a God, which by the way has a really cool new cover. I don't know when this cover released and if this is the US cover, but I love it so much more than the original. This is a Russian-inspired fantasy book. I have read a book by this author before but didn't really enjoy it, but I'm thinking now that she has released a few more books and is probably a better writer, I assume, I might like this one more. I don't know loads about this one, but I think it's being marketed as a romantasy book, so we might see that in the Goodreads Choice Awards later on this year in 2024. This Wretched Valley, this is a survival horror kind of book. It's about 4 hikers who go missing in, I think, the Kentucky wilderness, and then 7 months later 3 bodies are discovered and the 4th is nowhere to be seen. The Search Party, this is another thriller book. It's a locked room mystery about a glamping trip that has gone wrong. The Principle of Moments, this one is said to be for fans of Becky Chambers. It's a YA, I think, might not be YA. It's definitely a space opera though. It says something about a love affair between a time traveller and the prince waiting for him in the past, and also a rescue mission. I think this one sounds really intriguing. I love time travel stuff and I love sci-fi, so very interested in reading this one. I'm going to try and get my hands on it very soon. The Night of the Storm, this is another debut thriller book, another locked room mystery as well. It says here that it's about a multi-generational Indian American family marooned in a house with a murderer during Hurricane Harvey. So this also maybe a bit of a survival story as well. It sounds so good, a little bit different for a thriller. It doesn't have the best ratings yet, but I'm still very intrigued to read it. The Longest Autumn, this is said to be for fans of Ariadne, which I'm not. But I do enjoy supporting debut authors, and this is about a human who gets trapped with the god of autumn. Womb City, this is a futuristic dystopian science fiction kind of book. It's set in future Botswana, where rich people have it all, except men are able to control women's bodies, in that there's literally a microchip in these women, and their husbands can control them. This one sounds really good. I'm definitely going to get my hands on it soon. The Bullet Swallower, this is a historical fiction book. It's about a Mexican man who goes off to save his family, and then he encounters a mysterious figure that has come to collect some debt, which has been generations in the making. So I think there's a bit of magical realism in there as well. This is one of my most anticipated books of the year, so I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on this one. The Breakup Tour, this is about famous people on tour. I really enjoy books about famous people, so I'm looking forward to this one. Radiant Heat, this is a thriller suspense kind of book. It says here, when a catastrophic wildfire suddenly rips through a woman's hometown, she thinks she is lucky to have survived until she finds a dead woman in her driveway clutching a piece of paper with her name on it. Sounds very mysterious, so I'm looking forward to it. The Clinic, this is another mystery thriller. This one is set in a remote rehab clinic in the Pacific Northwest, so that tells me it's going to be very atmospheric. And it says here, the death of a woman inside prompts her sister to enter the clinic as a patient in order to find out the truth. I do wonder what the twist in this is going to be. I've got a couple of ideas already just from the synopsis, which is why I don't read synopses for books all that often. I'm looking forward to getting my hands on this one at some point. Diva, this one is about a opera singer and her love affair with one of the richest men in the world. No One Can Know by Kate Alice Marshall. She is one of my favourite authors, so of course I'm going to pick this one up. I haven't read the synopsis of this one, but the tagline says that it's about 3 sisters, 2 murders and too many secrets to count. I'm not going to read the synopsis because I want to go into this one knowing nothing, so I don't really need to know what it's about to pick it up because, like I said, really enjoy her books, so there's no need for me to look into it. Exordia. This is a science fiction book from Tor. It says here that the main character is a refugee and survivor of genocide and also an office worker. She has a close encounter that reveals universe-threatening stakes. She must join a small team of civilian soldiers and scientists to investigate a mysterious broadcast and unknowable horror. So I guess it's a sci-fi horror book, which I love. Amazing. Into the Sunken City. This is a YA fantasy book set in the real world, I think, and it features pirates, and it's a retelling of Treasure Island. So I was going to say Treasure Planet, but it's Treasure Island. All of those things sound really good to me. So Let Them Burn. This one is another YA fantasy book. I think this one features dragons. This is Jamaican inspired, and it says that it follows a God's blessed heroine who is forced to choose between saving her sister or protecting her homeland. The main character can channel the power of the gods. 5 years ago, she used her divine magic to liberate her island from its enemies, the dragon-riding Langley Empire. Langley is a place near me, so that's why I stumbled there. Now at 17, she is all powered up with no wars to fight, and then something about an international peace summit, and I think things probably kick off from there. I think this one sounds really good. It's got a lot of potential, and I hope that it's kind of epic fantasy, and it sort of starts to span more continents, and the world building is really good. I don't know, that's just what I'm hoping for. It's got a really good rating so far, so that's promising. Only If You're Lucky by Stacey Willingham. This is another author that I really enjoy, so I'm not going to read the synopsis for this one. It's another mystery thriller book by her, and I've really enjoyed all of her books so far. The Fury by Alex Michaelides. This is another thriller book by him, and it's about rich people on a private island and murder, and I think it's one of the rich people is like an ex-movie star, so we've got a bit of the fame aspect in there that I really enjoy. I have a physical copy of this one, so I'm looking forward to reading it soon. Faebound. This is a fantasy book about fae and elves and stuff. I don't really know much more than that, but I'm looking forward to giving it a go. I know some people have been reading this already because it came out in a book box, I think, as far as I'm aware. They're saying it's really good, so I'm looking forward to it. A Drop of Venom. I have this one from NetGalley as well, and it's a Medusa myth, or a retelling of the Medusa myth, but YA and also Indian inspired, with like Indian mythology thrown in there. This is published by Rick Riordan's imprint, so I think this could be really good. I think it's got a lot of potential. Hard by a Great Forest. This one is historical literary fiction, and it says here that the main character fled conflict in Georgia, and she and her brother have fought to make peace with the past. They struggle with the sacrifices of a mother who remained in a war zone so that their father could get them out. Now, years later, the brothers are young adults, their mother is dead, and their father has been lured back to their beautiful decaying homeland only to disappear. So I think they go looking for the missing father. That sounds really interesting to me. House of Flame and Shadow. I don't think I need to say anything about this one. It's the 3rd book in the Crescent City series. I'm really nervous about how it's going to go because of the ending to the 2nd book. This is another series I've been thinking about recapping on my channel, but a few people have already done recaps for this, I think, so it's not entirely necessary. It just depends if you like to hear me talking. So let me know if you think I should recap this series. I'm quite happy to. I've recapped them on my website, Recap Tins. I'm just not sure whether it's worth doing it on my YouTube channel as well, because other people have already. The City of Stardust. This is a adult fantasy book, something about gods and monsters. It's a debut as well. The main character is called Violet, and she was a child when her mother vanished into the stormy night. On a stormy night, not into the stormy night. And there's something about breaking a curse on the family line, which always intrigues me, so that's why this one's on this list. I also really like this cover. The American Queen. I think this one, has this one published before? Maybe not. It says here, in 1869, a kingdom rose in the south and Luella was its queen. Over the 24 years she's been enslaved on the Montgomery plantation, Luella learned to feel one hate. Hate for the man who sold her mother. Hate for the overseer who left her daddy to hang from a noose. Her future husband finally listens to her pleas and leads the formerly enslaved people out of their plantation, and Luella begins to replace her hate with hope. This is labelled as Christian fiction, so I'm a bit nervous to get to it, but I'm intrigued as well because I like historical fiction. So maybe I will give this one a go depending on what the reviews are like. And then finally we have The Invocations, which I'm still not sure if I'm pronouncing correctly. Maybe. This is about 3 girls who are witches, and one of them is the daughter of a billionaire, and she is also cursed, and all around her flowers and insects die, and she feels she herself will die very soon. And then I think the 3 girls meet and try to help each other out, something about murdering people one by one. I don't think it's them doing the murdering, but people around them are getting murdered. I don't know, very intriguing, and I really want to read more YA books about witches, so that's why this one is on this list. So that's it for my anticipated January new releases. Obviously there are way more books coming out in January, but these are the ones ones that I am most anticipating. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, leave a comment and let me know which books you're most anticipating for January, and I'll speak to you all in the next video. Bye.